In this episode of the Butt Chronicles, we take a look at Beavis and Butt-Head, episode 28, Sign Here.
Welcome to Industrial Industries World Radio's The Butt Chronicles.
You said welcome.
Oh God.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and butt munchers alike. Welcome to the Butt Chronicles, your audio guide to everything Beavis and Butt-Head. And I'm your host, DJ Glowing Ice. Well, today we are taking a look at Beavis and Butt-Head, episode 28, Sign Here. It first aired on MTV on July 6th, 1993. What happens with Beavis and Butt-Head in Sign Here? Well, let's check it out. The episode starts in Beavis and Butt-Head's house. Beavis and Butt-Head are watching the TV show Mr. Ed. Mr. Ed is an old black and white TV show with a talking horse, Mr. Ed. Mr. Ed, who is the talking horse, talks to his human handler, Wilbur, complaining that he's hurt. Wilbur says, "Now don't worry, Ed, we'll get y'all taken care of." Mr. Ed asks, "What's that, Wilbur?" We see Beavis and Butt-Head watching as a gunshot and a thud noise comes from the TV. The boys look shocked at first, and then they laugh. Next scene, we are in Beavis and Butt-Head's class inside Highland High School, and we see their teacher, Mr. Van Driesen, up front speaking. Van Driesen says, "Now people, do you know what I mean when I say that animals are sentient creatures?" We see Daria sitting at her desk, and she says, "They think and feel just like us?" We then cut to the back of the class, where we see Beavis and Butt-Head sitting in their desks. Beavis is hitting Butt-Head's hand with a ruler, and Butt-Head hits Beavis's hand with a book. They do this in a cycle, as Mr. Van Driesen replies to Daria's answer. "Well, just like most of us anyways." And that brings us to our next class project. Do you know, people, that a furrier is planning to set up shop in this town? We go back to the boys, and Butt-Head says, furrier than who? Van Driesen continues saying, "Who can tell me how they kill these poor little animals that they use to make those furs? Anybody?" "Anal electrocution," Daria answers. "That's correct," Van Driesen says. "What's that mean?" asks Beavis. 50,000 volts up the butt," Daria replies, smiling. As Daria says that, all the other people in the classroom say, "Ew." Beavis and Butt-Head, on the other hand, are laughing. Butt-Head says, "That'd be cool." "Wonder what that feels like," Beavis adds. Butt-Head turns to Beavis and says, "Ask your dad." Both of the boys laugh. "Ahem. Did you want to say something, Butt-Head?" Van Driesen asks. Butt-Head, now wide-eyed, says, On behalf of the class, I would like to propose a field trip so we can observe these furrying techniques." Again, the rest of the class goes, "Ew." Van Driesen says, "I don't think so, Butt-Head. In fact, I think our duty as passengers on Spaceship Earth is to put a stop to these monstrous acts right away. So class, our assignment is a lesson in the people's power. We're going to take a petition door to door and collect enough signatures to keep the furriers out of town." Beavis and Butt-Head look disgusted at this idea. Next scene, we see the boys standing outside on the doorstep of a house, and Butt-Head rings the doorbell as he holds the petition in his hand. An older bald man, with a blue-collared shirt with a patch displaying the name Al, answers the door. Butt-Head says, "Want to save some minks' butts?" Al slams the door in their faces. Next house, Beavis rings the doorbell, and a fat older woman answers the door. She has a black eye and a cigarette hanging from her mouth, as she's dressed in a bathrobe that's halfway open. A dog is barking inside the woman's house, as Beavis asks, "You like animals?" "What? What?" asks the woman. The dog barking continues, and she says, "Just a minute. She then walks away from the door towards her dog inside the house. We hear sound effects and a dog crying as she smacks it, and she says, "Shut up! Shut up or I'll have you put to sleep!" She walks back to the door and says to the boys, "Now what did you want?" As the dog continues crying in the background, Butt-Head says, never mind." The lady then slams the door in the boys' faces. Next scene is the boys walking on the sidewalk, and Beavis says, "No one's gonna sign this thing." "Yeah, petitions are stupid," says Butt-Head. The boys then walk up to another house. This house has broken window shutters and a fourth of its roof shingles missing. Beavis rings the doorbell, and a stumbling fat man answers the door. The man looks like a fatter and older version of Butt-Head, with a goatee and mustache combo. His pants are undone, and he's wearing a green tank top with a big hairy belly bulging from underneath it. Inside his house, we hear sounds of a crowd from a sporting event playing on the TV. What? What do you want?" the man asks. Butt-Head gets a thought bubble with a light bulb inside it and says, "We're giving away free beer. Just sign here." The man grabs the petition and signs it as he laughs under his breath. "Yes!" Beavis yells. Just then, green vomit spews from the man's mouth, and he falls forward, face first onto the ground in front of the boys. The boys wonder where the petition went, and the man laying on the ground pulls it up from the ground. The petition in the man's hand is now covered in vomit, and the man says, "I've got it." Next, we're back inside Highland High School, in Mr. Van Driesen's class. Mr. Van Driesen stands in front of the class with Beavis and Butt-Head's petition. He says, "Well, class, it looks like Beavis and Butt-Head got a lot of signatures here. Let's see." He starts going down the petition, reading off the names of the people who signed it. On the petition are the names Hugh G. Rection, Ben Dover, Betty Humpter, Rosie Palm and her 5 sisters, and Beavis and Butt-Head. Van Driesen, in a dissatisfied tone, says, "Beavis and Butt-Head, couldn't you boys get each sister to sign individually?" The boys look at each other and smile, knowing they fooled Van Driesen. And that's the end of Beavis and Butt-Head, Sign Here. Now let's get into the music videos. The first music video is Man Eater by Hall & Oates. Beavis says that Daryl Hall's hair is cool because his hair looks like his. Butt-Head asks Beavis if he's a man-eater, and at first Beavis says yes, but then thinking about it, he says no. Next is Animal by Def Leppard, and Butt-Head says that circuses suck, and then asks, "Where's the dude with 2 butts?" "Right here next to me," answers Beavis. Butt-Head then threatens to smack Beavis. Butt-Head then says, "Hey Beavis, have you ever heard that joke about the elephant in the circus? There's this dude, and he has to clean up all the elephant dung, and it really sucks. So this dude says, if it sucks, why don't you give up show business?" And then the guy says, "'Cause I like cleaning up elephant dung." The boys both laugh a lot, and Beavis says, "That's pretty funny. That was a good one." "It's all in how you tell it, dude," says Butt-Head. Watching the video further, Butt-Head says that Spinal Tap sucks lately, and then they change it. Next is I Want a New Drug by Huey Lewis in the News. And Beavis goes on and on talking about how the video sucks, and he pleads to Butt-Head to change it, but Butt-Head doesn't and wants Beavis to suffer. Beavis continues screaming that it sucks, and then they finally change it. Next is Smoking Banana Peels by the Dead Milkmen, and Beavis asks Butt-Head, "Does this suck?" Butt-Head answers, "Beats me." The boys wonder what the band is doing, and Beavis says that it's college music. Butt-Head calls it musical masturbation. Butt-Head then asks, "Hey Beavis, what do you listen to when you, Beavis says, "I like to put on Push the Little Daisies and Make 'em Come Up." Butthead replies, "Okay." "Hey, Butthead, this sucks, huh?" "It sure does, Beavis." Next is Principal's Office by Young MC, and Beavis asks Butthead if the video is the TV show A Different World. Butthead says, "Yeah, school." Butthead wonders why they do so many videos in school and says, "If I wanted to see pictures of school, I'd go there." Then they change it. Then the last music video is Show Me Your Soul by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The boys like it, they dance to it, and they jump off their couch onto the floor. Butthead says Anthony Kiedis is cool. Beavis and Butthead both say that Flea is cool. And when the boys see a mask in the video, Beavis says, "That's like that joke. If you were as ugly as me, I would shave my head and put a mask on my butt and walk backwards." "No, Dillweed, that's not how it goes. It's, if my dog was as ugly as me, I'd shave my butt and teach him to walk backwards." "You mean, if your dog was as ugly as you?" "That's what I said. If my dog was as ugly as me, I'd shave his butt and teach him to walk backwards." Yeah, that's pretty funny. And that's your music videos. Now let's get into the fun facts. There's not that many fun facts in this episode, and it's kind of disregarded as an episode that's in Season 1, because it's very similar to Episode 3, the first episode of Season 1, Door to Door. And it's always bundled up into that, but it is actually in its own season, Season 2, separate from Door to Door. And that's about it. So this episode gets a lot of confusion because it's almost the same episode almost. But nevertheless, Sign Here is the 23rd episode of Season 2 of Beavis and Butthead, and it's the 28th episode overall. And IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, gives Beavis and Butthead Sign Here a 7 out of 10. Now, I'll give you my review. As I said in the fun facts, this episode seemed like you were watching an episode from Season 1. But the funny thing is that Season 1 and 2 of Beavis and Butthead is basically Season 1, because they had that little break in March up until May, and all these episodes in Season 2 were meant to be Season 1, but they just split it up after the 3 episodes in March just because they just didn't have things ready. But nevertheless, yes, this episode seemed like one of the very, very first episodes that should be in the quote-unquote official Season 1. But this does stand on its own. There were some shining moments in this episode I really did like. I liked meeting all the different people of Highland. Much like in Door to Door, you get to see the variety of people. And you realize watching this, I think Beavis and Butthead even had sense going through this, knowing that people don't care about things Mr. Van Driesen's trying to push. You get out there in the world, they're too busy with their own thing. You know, one guy's drunk, one is just, you know, some sleazy woman that just beats her dog, and then the other guy just simply doesn't care and slams it. It's like, yeah, go out there. There's so many people that care. No, it's especially the people of Highland. And yeah, so that it's a nice life lesson. That's what this episode is. When you think people are out there and they do care, it's like, no, they're really busy with their own lives and really don't have too much time thinking about anything else. It's a sad thing, it's a sad lesson, but it's taught very subliminally in this episode. So on that note, that gives this a few points in my book. And a lot of the things Beavis and Butthead are doing in this episode are pretty funny. The music video segments are pretty good. They crap on the Dead Milkmen music video, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And possibly seeing Butthead's dad. Now, it's not confirmed, it doesn't say in the episode or anything, but you could just tell that looks like an old version of Butthead. And, yeah, so, and he looks like the same dad that they meet in Beavis and Butthead Do America, and Beavis's dad is there in the movie as well, but, yeah, not in this episode, so, we had a nice variety of things happening here. We had the high school, Beavis and Butt-Head, the Mr. Ed thing at the very beginning. It was dark but funny at the same time. Sending old Mr. Ed off to the glue factory because he has a broken leg or whatever. So I'm going to have to give this episode a 6.5 out of 10. It's decent, and it's a tier above mediocre and just right down the middle, so that's why I give it that. So there you go, Beavis and Butt-Head sign here, 6.5 out of 10.